Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honor Thy Podcast. This is the weekly DCTV Arrowverse podcast we do here every single week where we discuss everything Arrowverse. I'm your host, Declan McKinney. You may know me as the host of DC Central, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Dan McCance, otherwise known as Mulekick Media.
Hey, if I sound really depressed, I've just finished watching one of this week's show's episodes, and I was not impressed. I will not spoil which one, but if you're an intelligent person, you will probably know which one I'm referring to.
Yeah, I mean, listeners of this show, you know, we assume you all keep up with this stuff, and you probably have the same reaction coming out of this particular episode.
No. No.
Anyway, before we get to those reviews, though, we do have the news for this week, and we've actually got quite a large plethora of Supergirl news. And
yippee!
Unlike normal, we actually have substantial news, stuff that we can actually talk about. So,
yippee!
Nia now has officially got her costume revealed. Now, in the Supergirl episode this week, the mid-season premiere, Brainy has sort of like given her a massive book full of costume designs. It appears. Which I assume is literally the book the studio used for their costume designs. And we've seen the official look. They released an actual poster. Even before the episode aired, this was at the weekend, they revealed this official poster of Nia now in her costume. What do you think of the suit?
Why does she need a suit? Why? Like, your powers are that you can see into the future. Why does that constitute you needing a suit?
This just further proves the point that everyone makes, which is that the CW and all of these shows just feel the need to make every character a hero for no reason. And what annoys me more is the fact that they're doing this so soon. Like, because from what I'm hearing, we're going to be seeing this costume in episode 12. That's what I'm hearing. So, in the space of 12 episodes, bearing in mind Nia was only introduced in episode 1 of this season, we've only seen her in 12 episodes, and she's already a superhero, fighting alongside Kara. Why are they doing this so quickly? Why are they rushing her into this? Like, I brought this up, before, but like a great comparison, like Roy Harper on Arrow was done so well. It took him 2 full seasons before he actually became Arsenal. Like, in season 1 was when we met him and he was established as a character. Season 2, he was being trained. Season 3, he was a full-time member of Team Arrow. And that was, like, perfect. Like, they slow-cooked that so well. So by the time you got to Season 3, by the time you got Roy as Arsenal, you were completely invested in him, you cared about him, and you saw his entire development. Nia, like you say, why does she have a suit? Like, how is she going to be fighting people? I mean, I think the suit itself is fine. I don't really have a problem with
it looks alright, but it just looks like spandex.
Yeah, I think that's very clear with what the CW is going for now. Like, they just don't... the latex is gone, and they're just going with spandex now, because that's very similar to what the Flash costume has done this season. I like the colors. I like the blue. I like the look of it. Personally, I like the suit. I mean, the mask is a little bit weird, but
it looks okay. But it's like the Supergirl in particular. The masks are just awful. Like, remember
it's the CW thing? Like, the masks.
The masks are always just like hit or miss. It's like, but especially with Supergirl, they all just seem to be terrible. I mean, remember Rain's mask? It was just awful. Yeah. It looked like a tree was growing out of her head. Yeah. With Nia's, it just looks so out of place.
Yeah, it's the same with like all the CW shows, like all the masks. Like Black Lightning's is always a bit weird as well. Like, I don't know. I don't know why the CW do this with all their characters. Like, just make like either a full helmet or like at least make it decent. Or...
I love how you mentioned Black Lightning there. I've still not watched anything beyond the first episode of season 2.
I'm not loving season 2, if I'm honest.
You told me. Oh, season 2's getting really good. The last time you told me about it.
Yeah, it picks up in the last couple of episodes, but it's that I saw like until the mid-season finale. But it's still not great. Like, it's nowhere near season 1. Like, season 1, I thought was great, but season 2 hasn't impressed me so far. Like, the last couple of episodes, it does pick up, but yeah, it's still not amazing. But yeah, this costume, like I say, I just wish they would have kept this for like next season or even season 6. Like, just let us. Like, in this season, we should just get to know Nia as a co-worker of Kara and not as a superhero partner. Like, she should literally be this character who we see her grow. And then, yeah, in season 5, get her introduced to the world a little bit, train her a little bit, get her to kind of get through the cracks a little bit. And then when you get to season 6, boom, you can have her as Dreamer, no problem. But yeah, it's just like her powers, like they don't constitute this
Yeah.
idea of being this superhero vigilante type thing. It's weird.
And my problem with it as well is like they made a big deal about how with season 4 they were going to go back to report Akara, because that was something obviously I think some of the fans wanted to see. Where it's like, if you're going to make Naya a superhero this quickly that she's going to go out and do superhero things, it's just going to lessen the attention on the reporting side of it, and that's what her character was meant to be. She was meant to bring in this heavier push for the journalism side of it, but to be honest with you, that's basically been dead in terms of Kara's side for ages. Like, especially for like, it hasn't really come into play at all this season. And given the fact they're going to be giving her a costume, like you're saying, potentially episode 12, like, it's just, I don't know, it just feels too rushed. And it's like they're just going with all fan service over actual logic in the story. Like, 12 episodes and you're now a superhero. Wow.
Yeah, it's just it's too quick.
Yeah,
and I'm not really a fan of that. But we'll have to see what they do. We'll have to see what they do with her, and how well she'll actually be used. Now we also have a particular cast member who the writers promised us would be coming this season, and now is not. And that is Jeremy Jordan. Wynn is not coming back this season, like promised. He was cast in a recurring role.
Another disappointing news outlet. Like, it's almost like these Supergirl showrunners just don't understand the fan base. It's just full of like Mon-El, like fangirls and LexCorp shippers who just need to go and die because it's just, I'm sorry,
just
get a life, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's like us. We're sat here, just talking about all this stuff over a mic.
Hey, at least we ain't shipping two people that will never get together in an actual relationship on the show.
Yeah, it's true.
Now that is sad.
That's true. Snow Barry. Anyway,
no.
Yeah, Jeremy Jordan. Just like what they said about Chris Wood, he's not returning this season. Even though they said he was going to be a recurring role. To be honest, I kind of saw this coming because we heard nothing about it.
Yeah, because they said it, we heard nothing about it, and then given how the season has gone, I think if they brought them back, it would just end up being filler.
Yeah, I don't know where Wynn and potentially the rest of the Legion would fit in with this, because you would have to think that they'd bring back, because I swear a while ago, Amy Jackson, who played Saturn Girl, she said that she was coming back, but I guess maybe that's not happening now. Because you'd have to think that she'd come back with Wynn, and then I would have to think Mon-El would come back as well. But then maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're doing it so that Chris Wood can come back as well.
Maybe.
Because it wouldn't make a lot of sense if Wynn came back and not Mon-El. It would be quite weird. But I am sad about this, though. Jeremy Jordan was always one of my favourite things about this show. So the fact he's not returning is a little bit sad. But, if it wasn't going to fit for the story, then don't do it. For no reason.
Supergirl's got enough problems on its plate anyway, so I think if you just throw this into the mix, it's just going to result in an even more bigger shit show than we've already got at the moment. Like, they need to sort out their own storylines, like, first of all, to actually figure out who the fucking main villain is, because I don't know at this point.
No, none of us do. But they need to figure that out, and, like I say, if it didn't fit in the story, then don't do it. Just keep it as is. But I am still excited for Wynn to come back, though, just so I do like Jeremy Jordan, and I do want to see what they've done with him in terms of the Legion. Like, has he got his own super suit? Has he got powers?
Where is my super suit?
Where is Wynn's super suit? I don't know. I am sad about it, but again, like I say, if they don't think it's going to work, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Now, a very funny picture was also released over the past 24 hours. We received the first official look of John Cryer as Lex.
Are we sure this is official? Are we sure this is not fan-made content?
Yeah, so star of 2.5 Men, John Cryer, is who we found out a while ago was officially cast as Lex Luthor for Supergirl this season, has been officially revealed with a lovely little picture of him in prison rocking a manly beard. I mean, it's no Michael Rosenbaum, is it?
No. What about your boy Jesse Eisenberg?
To be honest, I'll withhold judgment on that before I make that call, because he is potentially the worst Lex Luthor I've ever seen. But yeah, this I did laugh when I seen this photo. If I'm honest, I did laugh. It just looks weird.
It just looks weird seeing him with a beard. I'm sorry, but it does.
Yeah, like I don't know if they're gonna shave it like when he gets out. But then again, we don't even know if he's gonna get out. Like we don't know what the story is with Lex. We don't know how involved he's gonna. All we know is that he's in this season. We don't actually know what it is or like what they're doing with him. He's literally just all we know. He's in this season. And he's played by John Cryer. So yeah.
Yeah, can't wait for them to mess this up like a lot of other things this season.
Arrowverse has got a lot of weird hair news this week. I mean, we'll get to the other part later on, but
hey, that hair news we're eventually going to get to. Now that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's
legendary.
This is just meme worthy. Like we've already discussed this. This looks like the reject clone that Lex Luthor uses as decoy at the end of Justice League, except he's growing a nice little awful beard in the time in between. Like it's just, I don't know.
All I can think is just, you're looking through that cage, seeing him, and all I can hear in my head is, "There's gonna be carnage."
No.
That's what Lex is thinking in his head right now. Oh, you know what's gonna happen? There's gonna be carnage.
It's got it, and as soon as he says that, plays the amazing Pitbull song "Ocean to Ocean."
Oh, there's too many memes in the.
Too many memes. Too many.
There's too many.
Too many memes. Can we just play that in the background of this podcast as well as Venom? No. Let's just say these two songs should have been nominated for Best Original Song at the Oscars. They weren't, which is a crime against humanity.
I know. The bloody Academy nominated "Shallow" over "Ocean to Ocean." Don't they understand that audiences don't want to swim in the shallows, Dan? They want to swim from ocean to ocean. Do they not understand this? The Academy is so out of touch. I tell you now, it's just ridiculous.
I'm still salty over the lack of First Man.
First Man was not snubbed. Ocean to Ocean was snubbed. See, you can clearly tell that we are very uninvested in the shows this week.
hey, apart from Arrows.
Yeah. But it's just like, yeah, we'll just quite happily sit here and talk about Pitbull for the rest of the hour, And I would play it over the background, but we'll get copyright struck, so,
Nah. Not if we do our own cover of it.
Well, do you want to go first with the scream? Do you want to...
Nah, I'm gonna wait.
Better at it.
I'm gonna wait till we get to 1K, then I'll consider
it. Then we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, just because I know that'll never happen, so I'll know safe and sound in my grave that I'll never have had to perform this song live. No. No, we're not doing.
I don't know how it's gonna come out on the mic. It's probably gonna sound horrific.
I bet there was probably about 15 cuts in that, and that was probably Declan himself, so we don't get copyright striked.
It was worth it for the memes, worth it for the giggles. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, Lex. Looks ridiculous. Move on.
Looks ridiculous. Move on. Michael Rosenthal, the MVP.
Indeed. Final piece of news. This isn't really news as say, but I just wanted to mention it because you brought it up to me. So Colton Haynes, who plays Roy, he's posted a picture of himself on Instagram in the original Arsenal costume with a completely shaven beard and looking young and normal like Roy did. So this does pretty much confirm that we're going to be seeing Roy as Arsenal in the present day storyline later on this season, possibly around episode 15. I think that's where they're up to with the filming right now. So yeah, episode 15 or potentially 16, we could be seeing Roy come back into the main story. Well, hey, that's all I've wanted this season. That's like my number one thing I've wanted this season.
Yeah,
is that. So yes, please, I will take it.
Yeah, I hope it is because I just want to see him in modern day. But then again, I just feel ultimately depressed if it turns out this is just like a photo from season 3. And it's like, from what I looked at it
before he put the makeup.
Yeah, on. Yeah. But based on what I've seen so far, I'm probably like 90% confident that this is from season 7.
Yeah.
Again, this is all my news, so if this ends up being completely wrong, this is my fault.
Yeah.
I accept full responsibility.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, I think that Roy has to come back into the present day at some point because you just have to look at a fact here. In the future, him and Dinah know each other well. In the present day storyline, Dinah and Roy have not met at this point. Like, that's one thing I have to keep reminding myself, is that he has to come back at some point because he needs to meet Dinah. Him and Dinah have never met at this point. So, you know. So I feel like that's got to, like, I mean, they were in Star City around the same time in season 6, but this was during the Team Arrow split. So Dinah, Rene, and Curtis never met Roy. Well, Curtis might have met Roy in season 4, maybe, if I remember. I don't really remember, but did Curtis meet Roy? Oh dear, what's going on here? Discord's playing up for Dan. Damn. We are experiencing technical difficulties live here on Honor Thy Podcast. I'm going to keep this running because I don't want to edit this and I just want to keep this going. So I'm just going to, you guys could just sit here and enjoy these technical difficulties. I will put a time code in the description, so if you want to just skip to that when we got this all working, then you can do that. Yeah, you can just sit here and enjoy the fumbling about as Dan just desperately tries to fix his laptop issues. He's been having these issues for a while now, but he doesn't do anything to fix them. So
hey, don't be... No. I can fully explain this, Declan. Okay, it literally came up on my screen saying this application won't respond, which I don't know why, but it just randomly decided that's what was going to happen.
Well, I mean, I've already said I'm not editing this. I'm literally just.
No. You are cutting this bit out. Okay.
No, I was entertaining our listeners.
No.
I was entertaining them while you were fumbling about.
I wasn't fumbling about. It's my laptop's fault. It was my laptop's fault.
I was delivering some absolute comedy gold while you were gone then.
What about myself? Because you couldn't say it to my face because you're a little chicken.
Yeah, about you, man. You're just a meme goldmine. And I was just like delivering it all to our lovely listeners.
Careful what you wish for, mate, or else I'll drown you in the shallows from ocean to ocean.
Bloody hell. Gonna die like David Dunn. Don't want to do that.
Spoilers, man! Spoilers!
Spoilers!
Look, we don't want people to see that shitty film, okay? But you can't be spoiling it, okay?
Damn.
No spoilers. You're bleeping that out. You're taking that part out.
I'm not that clever. Come on.
Yes, you are.
Right. Oh, wow, that's new. So, let's move into our reviews. And we're not reviewing Glass as much as we want to. So, Supergirl Season 4, Episode 10. What was this episode called? I don't actually remember.
He doesn't remember.
Do you remember?
No, I'm not the expert. I'm not the expert. I'm not the expert, Mark.
We're a 50-50 collaboration on this thing.
Well, look, I'm very sorry, but I don't do the research for these things. I make the thumbnails and I show up. That's it. I don't contribute anything else.
Suspicious Minds. Oh yeah, the Elvis song. Right.
Oh, the Elvis song. Okay.
Right, cool. Suspicious Minds. So, overall thoughts on the mid-season premiere?
It was interesting, and I say that because I'm probably one of the people that didn't think the episode was okay. I thought it was incredibly average.
I thought the first half was incredibly bad and laughable. I thought the second half was actually kind of interesting.
Except it wasn't, because they completely undermined the stakes, really, at one point, which we'll get on to.
So, one thing to get out of the way, James and Lena have ironed out the kinks, and they're fine again.
Because we all really cared about that, because that's the story we wanted to see, James in this season. That's what we really wanted.
I like the fact though that they were just like, oh yeah, Lena, you're just being annoying.
Yeah.
Just go sort it out.
Yeah. Why can't he just be Guardian? Like, what has happened with that now? What's happened to the Guardian?
Well, if he goes out, he'll get arrested because he was outed, won't he?
Yeah, but then they get rid of all the information.
I don't know. Like, that was really shakily glossed over. Like, because Lena said, "Oh, okay," because they said, "Oh yeah, if you go out again, then we'll arrest you." And I swear
he's already been out as Guardian since.
That's what I mean. Like, he's been out, and then they just kind of don't do anything. So
exactly.
Poor writing. Yeah, this James and Lena thing. I mean, if you care about it, then they're fine. If you don't care about it, it doesn't mean anything. One character who I did find rather interesting in this episode was Jean. I've not liked John's story this season, but he's now Super Detective John Jones. So, but I quite like this. I think this is cool. The fact he has his own little detective office. I'm pretty sure that's the same set they used for Ralph's office. I think on the Flash. It looks very similar. I'm not. I could be wrong there, but it does look fairly similar.
Yeah.
But still, the fact that John is going to be like a detective now, I think is kind of cool, and it does actually line up with his comic counterpart, because I believe in the comics he was a detective in Gotham. I think. Because when he was in Gotham, he was under the alias of John Jones. Whereas when he's in Metropolis, he's normally under the alias of Hank Henshaw. So I think that's what that's doing. But he seems to be, helping. He wants to help both people and aliens, so he opens up this thing. I think that's interesting. I think it's quite cool. It depends what they do with it, though. Like, they could do absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah, do nothing with it, and then it's just like, oh, he's there doing things. It's like his excuse for why he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, just to separate him from the rest of the cast. He'll just be in his office all the time. So yeah, again, there's not really much to say about it other than it's interesting, but that level of interest could completely go away if they just do nothing with him, which is likely at this point.
Very likely, considering what they usually do.
John and James are just gonna cry in a corner together. Now, one scene that I just thought was absolutely laugh out loud hysterical in this film. Or this
film.
This episode. I'm so used to talking about films.
Oh my god!
But there's a scene when Kara, Alex, and John go up to this dude to get some information from him, and he tries to escape in his car. So John jumps on the car, and the CGI in this scene is absolutely atrocious. I mean, there's some bad CGI in this episode, like the opening scene where we get to see Red Kara again is pretty bad. Because the entire thing, except for Melissa Benoist, is CGI.
Oh my god!
Those that scene is CGI.
But what about the scene afterwards when she rescues one of the people, one of the guards off that boat, and she's flying back onto it, and it's you can so clearly tell she's in front of a green screen.
Yeah, and it's just but this scene with John, he's on top of the car, and the camera's inside the car, and his entire body fits on the windscreen. It's the funniest thing. It's just it's the most ridiculous looking. Oh, I don't even know how to describe it, but his entire the windscreen, his entire body is smaller. It fits inside of it. It's crazy.
And then not long after that, the car continues to drive itself with no driver in.
Yeah, so it approaches a left turn after the driver has already been pulled out, and the car goes around the left turn perfectly with no driver in the car.
Even funnier, I'm pretty sure that is the exact same set that they used for Damien Dark's house in Arrow.
Yeah, looking at it, yeah.
Oh god.
This scene. It was just I was just absolutely dying.
And then the CGI for the aliens, I'm sorry, it wasn't good. I'm being honest there. Being a realist here, it just wasn't very good.
I mean, the aliens were interesting, but in concept, but they just didn't really do much.
No.
They just kind of showed up, and they were this threat, but it wasn't even the real threat of the episode. So it was just they just kind of showed up, and they were essentially a plot device. But then even by the end of the episode, it's a completely irrelevant plot device.
Yeah.
Because of what they do. So it's just anyway, let's talk about that then. So the big thing in this episode, right at the end, and I will give the writers credit for this, which is that they completely surprised me, and they actually did something pretty bold. Which is they're saying, okay, to protect Kara's identity, everybody at the DEO, including Alex, has to have their mind wiped, just under threat of being interrogated. So Alex gets her mind wiped of Kara being Supergirl. So she now no longer knows that Kara is Supergirl. Now, I don't think this is going to stick.
No.
Because at the end of the episode literally ends with John's hand on her head, wiping her memory. Why would you end it there if you're not going to do something immediately afterwards in the next episode? I reckon the writers are going to pull a complete fast one with this. And next episode, I mean, the promo are trying to play it off, but remember Flash did this in the season 3 finale, where they played it off as Iris actually did die. I think they're going to do the same thing. This is not going to stick. And it's such a shame, because this is such an interesting thing to do. They could actually do something really different here by saying, Alex, the person who inspired Kara to become Supergirl in the first place, the person who has stuck by her for the past 4 seasons, now no longer knows that her sister is Supergirl. That is really something different and interesting, and something that actually engages me in the season and the characters, especially because Alex is so easily the best part of this show. And then they're just going to get rid of it like that. I mean, I will give the writers credit if this lasts more than 5 episodes. Any more than that, or, well, any less than that, then it's just a cop-out. And, yeah, I just think... It's disappointing, because I just feel like...
I didn't hear a thing you said then.
I'm just talking about, how I don't think this is going to last.
No. Well, to be fair, I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm in the same as you. I don't really know if they're going to stick with this, just because it's like their relationship is so integral to everything. So if they just go ahead and do this, I don't think the writers have the balls to do this for even more than 1 episode. And plus, although I like the idea itself, like, of obviously, John having to mind wipe her completely, it came off the back of a really, like, cop-out moment where it was like, I can't remember what her name is, but like the head, but bitch lady of the DEO. I can't remember her actual name.
She's so annoying.
Like her, like Colonel Haley, when she finds out that Supergirl, like Kara is Supergirl, and then immediately afterwards they wipe her mind. I remember just in that moment, I was like, why? Like it just felt irritating, because that would have also been very interesting, but they completely removed that idea by just being like, oh no, John, just take away a memory. Like, that annoyed me. But then the fact that it led on to this, I think it kind of does soften that blow. But again, I think this depends on how long they're actually going to keep this on for, which I hope is a while. Because, like I say, I don't want a Flash Season 3 where it's like within the first, 3 minutes of the episode, it's like, oh no, well, technically, she does know you're Kara. It's just in a pocket area of her mind that she can't reach.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that.
Yeah, it's just... Like, again, I don't want to come across too negative, because at this point, like, it is the way it is, but it's just like, I can just so see them just pulling a fast one with this, and just next, it's the way it ends, it's the way the episode ends, like, because normally, if they were gonna go through with this to some extent, they would have ended it with Kara and Alex interacting, and just and Alex acting none the wiser, whereas now, they ended it before we actually saw what was going to happen. And it's not even like this was like the mid-season finale, where we would have to wait. But this is literally the mid-season premiere. We're getting an episode next Monday, so it's I don't see them sticking with this. And again, it's because it's like you said, they're so integral. Like their relationship and her knowing that she's Supergirl, it's so key to the show. I can't see them doing this. If they do, I give them the balls. But the writers need to put their balls on the line. I don't think they do. I mean. Did Brainy get his mind wiped as well?
I don't know.
Because he's the most loose-lipped of all of them.
Yeah.
Bloody loosey-goosey, mate. But I think like...
No. Didn't they do something with him where it's like he did something where he forgets?
Oh, he can do it himself, can't he? Yeah,
he can do it himself, yeah.
Because he's technically a robot, so yeah, he can do that himself. Yeah, okay. That's fair enough then. What about Jean? Does he have to mind wipe himself?
Well, he doesn't work for the DEO, remember?
Yeah, that's true. But then they could come after him, though.
Yeah.
Because they could be like, oh, well, you did used to, and you worked very closely with Supergirl. Come in, Johnny Boy. Oh, no, that's the wrong show. Wrong show. We'll get to that in a bit. So, yeah, this could be really interesting. This could be something that actually gives some, interest and intrigue to the characters on the show. I just don't see them pulling through with it at all. I want to be on the good side of this, but I'm not.
No, we can't be too positive with Supergirl because we've been let down many times beforehand.
Yeah, and before we actually allow ourselves to be positive, we're going to torture ourselves a little bit more by talking about The Flash Season 5, Episode 11. This is why Dan is so depressed in this episode, is because he has just finished watching this episode. Easily, for me, the worst episode of the season.
Yeah, without question.
It's topped episode 5, and it's possibly topped the Iris jumping off a building to save Barry moment. I'm not sure on that one yet, but it's a definite contender. So this episode is all about Cicada basically paralyzing Nora, and then Barry seeing red, as the episode is called, to go after Cicada to basically get revenge on him.
Yeah. Also, can we just note that it's an offense to one of the best episodes of Arrow.
It's disrespectful to Moira Queen, it's disrespectful to Susanna Thompson, and it's disrespectful to the writers of Arrow Season 2, Episode 20, which is one of the best episodes of Arrow, and they just completely ruined it with this one episode of The Flash. Well done, Flash. You've really ruined one of the best episodes of Arrow. Right, anyway, moving on. I think that this episode was so boring, so dull, and I think that's a pretty good way to sum up this season. I think this season started strong. I think it started.
The premiere was amazing.
The premiere was great. The premiere was so good. Like, we were so excited about the premiere. It was just, it started out, and I think the first few episodes. But the clear issue with this season is they do not have enough content and enough ideas to make Cicada interesting for a long time, for this long amount of time.
No,
it's so obvious, and it's not all down to the writers. It is the fact that obviously the CW just says, no, you need to make your season this many episodes long, and they need to stretch it out. But I feel like, you know, Cicada is so uninteresting as a villain. Like, I really don't care about Cicada.
No.
And it's just, he's so one note, and even when they tried to do that backstory episode, granted, it was a good episode, but it was just, I still don't really feel anything for him, because yeah, he has the empathetic backstory, but then when you actually see him now, he's just like, like he's like, he's not a human. He doesn't act like a human. He's just a weird guy.
It's almost like he's trying to put on a really bad Vincent D'Onofrio voice impression, just like, I hate metahumans.
Yeah,
it's awful. It's so terrible.
It's dreadful, and like, he's such a boring villain because we still don't really know what his plan is, and we don't know really what he wants to do.
Is he just a metahuman serial killer? Is that all?
Yeah, is that literally what it is? Because that's pretty dull if it is, and even if it isn't, we still don't know the full extent of his powers. I've been saying this for weeks. We don't know what his powers are, and it's so, like, even in this episode, he does the thing that makes me question this the most, where he just flies off.
You mean the thing that makes us laugh because of how stupid it is?
Like, how can he fly? He just flies. Look at what you're doing to my voice. He just flies. I don't understand. And also, like, okay, why is Cicada still around? Because they should have easily taken him out. Not only in this episode, we'll get to that, but in the 100th episode, 8th episode of the season, they should have just taken him out then and there. And they could have had something else that, you know, bring it, you know, they clearly want to do Reverse Flash again. So just bring him back then. Like, stop teasing us with Eobard Thawne in the future. Just do it. Because even though it's reusing an old villain, it's far more interesting than Cicada. And it's just like, I'm so done with Cicada.
Well, to quote the infamous Andy Tate, a monkey in a suit would be a better villain than Cicada.
It's just, I don't know how to describe this episode. I really do. But let's just talk about other stuff before we get to the big balls up of the episode. So, we get some more stuff with Sherlock investigating Nora.
Sherlock.
We need more of this.
Yeah, I love Sherlock. I just love his voice. His voice is soothing.
I've really grown to like Sherlock. I didn't like him at first, but he has grown on me. But this storyline of him investigating Nora and him actually, you know, sort of realizing what's going on, that's actually something that's fun, because he's clearly, because this guy is clearly like having fun with this investigation as well.
Yeah.
And I like the conversation he has with Iris, because I like the fact that even he's withholding the information. That he's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you anything until I actually know everything that's going on, and so he can have like the high ground. I like that.
Except it did frustrate me though, like with Iris, and she's just like, like our boy Pagey noted out. I think it's the same criticism I have, which is that I think the scene would have worked if it had happened earlier on in the season when we didn't have as much evidence against Nora.
Yeah,
but because you have so much.
There was supposed to be a scene. I don't remember what episode it was, but there was an episode description where it might have even been the mid-season finale. But they said, do you remember that? There was a synopsis that came out that said Sherlock has a discussion with Iris about his concerns about Nora.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? Like, that was supposed to be, and that never happened. Was that this scene?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe it could be, but It'd be weird to bring back a scene from an old episode and put it in there.
Yeah, especially when it makes less sense.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, this is the Flash. The Flash is just capable of many strange things.
Yeah, it's
likely
good at accomplishing some many things. But yeah, I want more of this. Like, we only get like one scene of this an episode, and it's annoying because it's actually interesting. Like, him going through decrypting the Speed Force symbols and things like that. It's actually something quite intriguing, and the way that he's completely on Nora's case, I think it's great. Just getting ready to #expose Nora is really fun. So yeah, I kind of want more.
Maybe if he keeps on at this rate, he'll be able to expose the showrunners for being shit.
Oh damn. But yeah, I want more of this. I mean, because what's fun as well is that they have the whole thing at the end where he realizes, oh, that's Nora's handwriting, but who's this other guy? And he's clearly gonna see, because obviously it's Wellsabard, and he's Wells. There's gonna be some kind of connection there, surely, because he can access Gideon. We've seen that he can access Gideon, so I think he's gonna like see some similarities in himself, where he's gonna be like, aha, you know. So yeah, more of this, please. I just want more of the Sherlock investigating stuff, because well done. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of Sherlock at first, but he has grown on me. Now, Barry has a very large amount of rage in this episode, going after Cicada after he breaks the back of Nora. So it's like Cicada Fallen like banes Nora, right?
Well, he kind of just picks her up and then
he just kind of hits her in the back.
Hits her. Like,
he doesn't do the full on breaking over the leg thing. That would have been great. But we didn't get that. But the problem with this is that no viewer is ever gonna buy that Barry would ever kill Cicada.
No, this character who's never killed anyone. Yeah.
You know, if it was Oliver, I'd be like, yeah, I could buy that. Like, you know, if at any point in Arrow someone killed Thea, you know, or like hurt Thea, I could totally see Oliver going, I'm gonna kill that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he killed Damien. He killed Damien Dark because he killed Laurel. You know, yeah, exactly. So it's definitely possible.
But Barry, he's never he wouldn't kill. He's had so many opportunities to kill Eobard Thawne, and he hasn't. I mean, granted, it probably wouldn't work anyway. But regardless, he hasn't done it. He could have done it in season 1, you know, before Eddie shot himself, and he could have done it in Crisis. He didn't do it. So I think, like, you know, it was never going to happen.
So that just removes all tension from what's happening, because it's like you already know what the main character is going to do. Like, if they'd established beforehand, like, say, like Oliver, where he's had a past of killing people, then it'd be interesting, because it's like you don't know which way it could go. But because they have been set focus on saying that Barry Allen is not a killer, it doesn't add anything to him, because we know that he's not a killer, so we know he's not going to kill.
Yeah.
And the fact that injure her so badly, it's like, oh no, we don't know if she'll recover. Like, come on, this is a 22 episode length season. We're only on episode 11, sorry. Like, it's just stupid. Like you say, this feels like a filler episode, even though technically it shouldn't, because you've got the supposed big bad and the protagonist facing off against each other. Yet it still feels like a filler episode, because it just feels like they're retreading stuff that is not interesting, because either A, we already know the conclusion of it, or B, we know that nothing will happen to said characters. Like, it's just stupid at this point. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, what was that whole point of including Novak again? Why do we need him back? Like, why did we need this guy? Out of all the things you could have brought, back, you bring back Novak and you give him a backstory. I don't care about this character. I do not need a backstory.
But it just made me laugh at him more, because it's the most. I mean, he was ridiculous in season 4, but it's like he's just the most weird, ridiculous metahuman. So okay, we find out in this episode he worked at a zoo, and something happened where a snake got out and started attacking a kid. So he runs over to help the kid, and he picks up the snake. Then the particle accelerator went off, or whatever. Was it the particle accelerator? I think it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, particle accelerator goes off, and then he has a snake in his head. Like, that's literally what he says. Like, he's like, the particle accelerator went off, and I got a snake. Like, kid got safe, I got a snake in my head. How did the snake get in your head? What were you doing with the snake, man? What were you doing with that snake? Why is it in your head? Like, were you eating it? What were you doing, man? Oh, he's the dumbest metahuman. He's the most stupid metahuman. I don't understand. Yeah, and like, why would you bring him back out of all the metahumans you could have chose? Why would you bring him back? Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, just going back to the whole Barry thing, it was just never going to happen. And I guess this brings us to the absolute bowel-loosening, just awful part of the episode, where we see Barry and Killer Frost going after Cicada, having this big fight with him, and yeah, we have Barry and Killer Frost just going at it, and Killer Frost actually is a decent fighter against Cicada because obviously she's not affected by his dagger. But
it's like, where does Cicada have all these hand-to-hand combat skills? Where did he get this from?
Yeah, Cicada can apparently fight like the League of Assassins.
Like, did Ra's al Ghul get him some secret training before he was killed by Oliver? Like,
because he can fight really well. This guy can fight really well, and it's just like, and Barry's not a great fighter. We've seen that before, but like, he is not standing up against Cicada at all. And then the only reason Killer Frost is because she has powers that is not affected by the dagger. So it's just like we have this weird fight going on, which granted it's a cool fight, but it's just like, again, there's just questions because it's like, how is Cicada doing this? We've never seen any history of fighting. What's going on here? So anyway, he basically pushes Barry away, tries to kill Killer Frost. Killer Frost is holding back the knife with the ice, which was a pretty cool shot. And then Barry goes over to kill, and he's like using all of this energy at once on Cicada. And Sherlock's like, oh yeah, Cicada can sustain that a lot of damage, but not that much. And they're like, oh no, he's gonna do it. Barry's gonna do it. He's gonna kill Cicada. He's gonna do it. And they're all like, no, don't do it, Barry, don't do it. Whereas we as the audience like, yes, Barry, bloody do it. End this guy so we can move on from this character. But of course, this is when the moment comes. Nora shows up and says, no, Dad, don't do it. And Barry just gets up and leaves him there, and just goes over and just.
Why did you not put meta-dampening cuffs on him? Why would you not put meta cuffs on him?
Kill him, you soft prick. I mean, like, so Nora's like, they have this little heart-to-heart. Cicada flies off magically, and then she's like, "Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. I let him get away." And then Barry's like, "Oh, it's okay." No, it isn't. No, it isn't okay. You had him.
He's probably killed another 3 metahumans. It's all your fault.
He probably flew off to Star Labs and he's killed your wife. Why? Oh, writers, come on. I want to cry. Like, what happened to this show? I don't understand why.
Like I said earlier, it died at the end of season 2.
Like, yeah, why didn't they put cuffs on him? Why didn't... there's just so many things they could have done but this. And it's the fact, and it makes Barry seem like a complete idiot. Like, he just stands up and leaves him. Nora could have just stood there and Barry could have, like, gone, oh yeah, fair enough, I won't kill him, but I've got him now. No, I'm not going to get up and go over and talk to my daughter. I just don't understand. And then, yeah, just the flying off thing. Why can he fly? I bet it's never explained. Now, one positive I will give this episode is Killer Frost and Caitlin. I like what they're doing with them.
It's the only good part of the whole episode.
Like, their duality, the conversations they have, the way they act with each other, and the fact it's Danielle Panabaker obviously playing both roles. I like it. And I have to say as well, bringing back Ralph for this episode, good.
Yeah.
I missed Ralph last week. I liked having him here. Ralph is just really great this season. They've really just... I've said this like every episode, but they just nailed him. They've just nailed him. They really have. And he's great this week as well. And yeah, the whole thing with Killer Frost is the only good thing. Like, Killer Frost is a genuinely good character. I never thought they would have done her to this length. And they have, and I think they're doing a really good job. And at least Danielle Panabaker is finally actually getting some development. It feels good to say that. But the rest of this episode is complete bullshit.
It was
utter bullshit.
Yeah, like we said, it's easily the worst episode of the season. Like, it's just... Like, I'm not sure if we're the only ones who feel like this, but it's just... Like we said, this season started off with so much promise, and then just you get an episode like this, and it's like I feel like it's just like I'm just so bored of the Flash. I'm only halfway through.
Yeah.
Like I'm genuinely bored of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm bored of this season. I'm bored. Like I wasn't excited about last week's episode. And granted, I think I like last week's episode more than most people. But
Definitely.
I was still not. I didn't care about it. I didn't care about this week's episode. Like I was saying this to you earlier. Normally, I get up early every morning before work to watch the Arrowverse shows before I go to work, just so I can avoid spoilers, and also just because I want to. I want to watch them as soon as possible. I didn't do that this week with Supergirl or the Flash. I mean, I woke up at 6 on my alarm, which is that's the time I get up to watch the shows, and I went back to sleep. Like, I woke up and I thought, nah. I'm not that excited about it. I can't be bothered. Like, Arrow, I wanted to. I got up at 6 on Monday, watched Arrow. I just didn't want to do that with Flash or Supergirl. And I think that's just... And honestly, this enthusiasm level, I've kind of felt this way since the back half of Season 4. Like, I said this before, but, like, I really was not looking forward to the Season 4 finale. I remember being so uninterested in that. And the same applies now. It's sad. Like, The Flash used to be the best show out of the lot. Like, it was always the one that was the most consistent. It was the one that was always great. You know, it was always fun. It's not fun. The show's not fun anymore.
It's just dumb.
It's just dumb. It's dumb. It's uninteresting. It's dull. It's not like. Do you remember back in Season 1 when we had all the metahumans? You know, people like Captain Cold and stuff like that. Like those kind of characters. And now it's just like we have all these really dumb metas and Cicada, who's like the worst. Like Flash is normally has a solid villain. You know, Reverse Flash, Zoom, Savitar was interesting for a time. I mean, he lost it as time went on, but he was there. Thinker, although I don't like what they did with him in the middle, I'd liked him in the beginning and the end. But Cicada, he's never had my interest. I mean, even before this, even when they first announced Cicada as the villain, like even on this show, I think I said I didn't care about Cicada.
I don't think anybody did really. It was like he didn't feel like a villain who like based off comic knowledge or comic awareness. You didn't really look at that guy and think, oh yeah, he could definitely be like a big bad.
Yeah, and this season has proven it. I think it would have been a lot better if they would have just went, with the rogues, like, which they're probably going to do as a side story, or I've been pushing Cobalt Blue for years. I just think that this season really needs something. Like, it needs something to kick up the intrigue and something to make me excited about it again. And I don't think it's going to be Reverse Flash, because, like I say, it's not even like it's a theory. Like, we know he's in this some way, and I'm still not that much interested in it.
No.
And it's just because it feels lazy. Like, it feels like they just want to bring back Reverse Flash because they know they haven't got anything interesting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'd be more interested if it was Matt Letcher.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to Tom Cavanaugh, he's amazing. It's just the fact it makes no sense. Right, I'm just going into a sinkhole. Let's just move on. Let's talk about the good show of the week. Arrow, Season 7, Episode 10. My name is Amiko Queen. Yes, it was changed to Shattered Lives and then changed back again to
because once again, your boy here exposed the title for you originally.
When was that? Like, when was that episode when we did that? We did massive bold predictions, like, live on air.
Yeah, it was quite I think it was during, was it episode 2 or 3?
Yeah,
I think it was around about then. Yeah, it was around about then, and then literally, like, within a week later, it was taken down and changed.
Yeah. So, anyway, this episode I thought was really good. I've said this about Season 7. It's just blown me away with how strong the season has been, just because on pure consistency, like, every episode has been great. Or at least good. And I think that's astounding at this point, especially for these shows, which, like we mentioned, 22 episodes or 23 episodes a season. You're going to have filler, you're going to have duff episodes, and Arrow normally has, a fair few duff episodes in it. But Season 7, I genuinely don't think has had one yet.
No.
And I think that's amazing. Also, one last thing about Flash. I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but it needs a new showrunner. Just like Arrow did this season. Arrow feels fresh at the moment. Arrow feels fun, and that's because of the new leadership, the new showrunner. Flash needs to do the same. That's what I'll say about the Flash. So anyway, this episode opens up and we see Emiko Queen, played by Sisha Muka. This is obviously the new Green Arrow who's been in the city this season. I really like Emiko. I like her a lot. I think Sisha Muka does a good job for the most part. I think she does a good job. I'll get to why not in a sec. But I like her. I think she's very likable, very charismatic. I think she's fun, and I do like her.
Yeah, I think she's very good. You definitely, I very much like her, especially since really this is the first proper episode that we've really had, with her. I mean, obviously, yeah, we saw her in episode 8, but that was only really like in a few scenes. This was like a whole episode dedicated to her, and I think she did a very good job, like you say, for the most part. There were a few scenes where I think her acting wasn't as good, but I mean, still from an overall standpoint, I still really like the character, and I find her really interesting, not just because obviously she's related to Oliver, but also just the whole storyline with her and the list. Trying to find the person who killed her mother and that kind of stuff. I thought was really cool. Now I really liked her in this episode. Her only real disappointment is that she's no listed shipper, which completely broke me when I found out. It's like, you were doing so well, and then you just had to ship that.
See, I don't know if that was an excuse to like get in with the fans or something. Like, I don't know what that was, because it's a weird thing to put out on social media.
Yeah,
I don't know why she did that, but
she probably doesn't want any death threats from Fifi fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because them Fifi fans, they can be very volatile online. Trust me.
I think that I think she's good for the most part. It's just that scene at the end of the episode when she finds the guy she's been looking for, and she's like liar and stuff like that. It doesn't really. She wasn't good at the confrontational stuff.
No,
at least not yet. But as far as I'm aware, Sisha Muka is not really an actress. She's more of a martial artist, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, that's why they cast her, because she's quite strong. Like, she has been in stuff. Like, if you look at her IMDb, she has been in stuff, but nothing big.
I need to check this.
Like, nothing massive. So as far as I'm aware, she's not a classic. She's not like a trained actress, which I guess explains it.
And the saddest part is, I think, based on this one episode, she's still probably a better actress than Emily Bettrickers. Ooh, shots fired.
But yeah, I think she's cool. I liked her training, stuff like that. That's one thing that we're still, because we get a lot of questions answered about Emiko in this episode, which is what I was looking for. That's what I wanted out of this episode. So you find out that she was living in the Glades, which I don't really buy. I don't buy the fact that she's been in the Glades like her entire life and she never reached out to Oliver. I never really bought that, especially because she's aware that if she didn't know Oliver was her brother, then fair enough, but she does. She always has, so it's kind of just like, okay.
Yeah, it was like if maybe she'd lived on the other side of the world, then I think I could have brought this a lot more. But the fact that she was like, oh, it's only like a few minutes away, like it just. Yeah, that kind of took away from it for me. It would have just felt more realistic if she'd gone to live elsewhere, across the world.
Yeah, but we find out that she was living in the Glades and her mother was killed, and it was basically staged as a fire that killed her, but it wasn't. It was a guy who actually just put a bullet in her head. So she created a list just like Oliver, and has been going through the list, getting to this guy who she believes killed her mother. Now, I have to say, the opening montage of this episode is brilliant. It's season 1 Oliver. The way she's going through, crossing names off the list. I love that so much. I got so hyped in the first episode of this season when I saw the list and her just crossing off that first name. Because I love the list. I love the list. I think that's such a cool thing. And seeing her have her own list that she's just crossing names off, killing. Because Emiko's a killer. And I like that. I miss Oliver being a killer, because I think that makes Oliver a lot more interesting. So the fact that Emiko is killing people, I think that's interesting. And again, crossing the names off the list, I love that. And just
although, can I just state as well, the actual book itself of the list of names, that when they showed it at the start when she's crossed them off, I'm sorry, that ink handwriting looks so fake, especially when you compare it to it looked like a completely different book compared to the one in the premiere, because the writing looked like it was just photocopied on.
Yeah.
That's just me. being nitpicky like a little arsehole that I am. But it was just something that I noticed. I was just like,
I was
did they not use the same book?
I was just like, the list.
Yeah.
But her fighting, like, she is badass. Like, the way she's going around taking out these guys, like, some of the moves she was pulling off, I was like, this is cool. I like this. And the way she's talking over the top of it was great. And then, obviously, one of the biggest questions I have, though, from this is just, like, where did she train?
Yeah.
Because what we can learn from this episode is that her mother was only killed, 2 years ago? I think.
Yeah.
So, where has she got trained in the past 2 years to that level? Because she is equal to Oliver. So,
yeah.
You know, is she involved with the League of Assassins? There's rumors
Did Malcolm
Merlin do it? Like, you know, but if it was in the last 2 years, well, I guess that kind of lines up with Malcolm, I suppose. Malcolm would have been alive then. But Malcolm was messing around with the Legion at that point, so I don't... But then again, that's time travel, so... I don't know, it's difficult. I mean, again, the whole Malcolm Merlin thing's purely a rumor, but... Because John Barrowman said he would be returning to Arrow later this season, but that was before the crossover, so he might have been talking about the crossover. Like, who knows? But he said Arrow. But then again, that was the Arrow episode, so who knows? But we do learn her motive in this, which I enjoyed. So Robert Queen eventually, you know, he realized that he can't look after these people anymore. He basically stuffed up a mother and then went, right, I'm off. And he actually messaged Walter. We're bringing back Walter, boys.
No, we're not, because he didn't see him in the episode.
Big boy Walter is getting mentioned again. And he said to Walter, you know, look after these two, which he didn't. And then Moira found out and completely blocked all transactions. I have to say, though, I loved this. Like, the fact that they are bringing back these Season 1 characters, like Robert, Walter, Moira, although they're not actually in the episode, just the fact they're being mentioned and name-dropped and bringing Arrow back to those core values, I love so much. Like, as a pure Arrow fanboy, I love going back to the roots of Arrow. I just love it. I just love it so much. Bringing back, just name-dropping Walter, name-dropping Moira.
Yeah.
I just love it. I mean, I could have done with a flashback with them all in it. Could have done with that.
Nah. No way. We have not seen Walter in like 5 years. No way we're going to see him now.
Is he? He was recently in Mortal Engines, the actor who plays.
You mean that amazing film that was like 80?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I was tempted to watch it just because he was in it. I just wanted, because I saw him I remember being sat in the cinema watching. I don't remember what I was watching at the time, but the trailer came up and I was like, "Oh my god, it's Walter!" But yeah, I could have done with a flashback scene, to be honest. Susanna's not really busy. Bring Susanna back, you know. I mean, just bring her back as a regular, as far as I'm concerned.
I thought it was interesting that they had like James Sheridan, how they had him, like voice. Come back and do like a voiceover for the light. That was cool.
They did bring Robert back in a way.
Yeah,
but you just don't see him. You hear his voice. You hear James Sheridan's voice, which was cool. That was a nice addition.
No, that was cool because obviously, I guess from that you can sort of link into like Oliver and Felicity. They basically just spend the episode discovering that Emiko is Oliver's sister. We didn't really have a lot of Oliver in this episode, but then again, it makes sense because they filmed this right after Elseworlds, and he was probably busy with that, so that's why the episode didn't necessarily focus a lot on him. But I thought the way they did it in this episode, I think it was better than it was done in The Flash for me personally, because in The Flash it was so obvious with the fact that Barry ended. He just benched Barry, whereas in this episode I think it felt more. It felt like it was done a lot better. Yeah. Like you brought like the fact that he's obviously away, you know, processing everything, so it made sense not to constantly flash to him. I think next episode's definitely like obviously it seems to be the episode where Oliver's really going to start to try and connect with Emiko, because when we get to that end, like the end scene, we see that he sees her at Robert's grave. I'm just so excited for the dynamic between those two, because like you say, you know, you got Emiko who's very much a killer from what it seems like, and then Oliver who seems to like I don't know with Oliver. Is Oliver does Oliver not kill anymore?
I don't know. Like I was wondering that in season 6 because you know in season 5 he kills again, but then by the end of it he doesn't, because obviously that was Prometheus's whole point. But then in season 6 it seems like he just kind of like, especially in the first couple episodes, he kind of just goes around just like hurting all these people. I'm just like, I'm pretty sure they would kill. I'm pretty sure that's killing people. I'm pretty sure like those people are dying.
Because like in season 7 in prison, I don't think he's killed a single person from what I remember. He didn't kill anyone.
No.
In season 7, from what I'm aware of. I mean, I don't know what getting whacked around the head with a soda can constitutes as, if that's can kill someone or not. But as far as I am aware, he hasn't killed anyone.
Yeah, I mean, he nearly did with that big guy with the weight in that amazing scene. But,
Yeah.
But I mean, we saw him afterwards. He survived.
Yeah.
So that doesn't line up. I don't know. I don't think he is, just because
I think it would work better. I think it would work better for a dynamic between the two if he wasn't.
Yeah.
Because then obviously you've got that like opposing factor between the two that they can sort of play off. But I like what they did with Oliver in this episode. Felicity wasn't annoying, which is always a plus. And yeah,
I have to say Stephen Amell's acting was amazing in this
Yeah.
episode. Like when he finds out he has a sister, like just his reaction, the way, because it was like a mixture of different things. It was on the one hand just emotion at the fact of finding out he has another sister who he's been around for years, who he didn't know about, but the fact that it was just another secret that Robert had, and the fact that he felt like, because again, bringing Arrow back to the core values, like Arrow's core value is, you know, sins of the father. That is what Arrow is all about. It's about sins of the father, and Oliver thought that he had put all of that to bed. He thought that, you know, by the end of especially season 5, he had put all of that to bed. He thought he knew everything about Robert, and then here comes another bombshell. He has a sister that he didn't know about, and he's like so angry about that, and then so angry at his mother for covering it up. I love that. I think Stephen Amell pulled it off beautifully.
Yeah, it was very good. Very good, yeah. We also saw a bit of a Diggle in Argus with the Diaz in this episode. It was kind of just basically, yeah, it was basically just set up for Diaz joining the Ghost Initiative, which we're going to see next episode.
I love it.
But no, I loved it. I thought it was really cool, just because getting to see. I mean, look, I think for the sakes of this podcast, I think we're just going to refer to them as a Suicide Squad, because we can do it without being told off, but Arrow can't, so we'll just call them the Suicide Squad. That's what they're basically doing. I'm really excited for it. We already know, obviously, who's going to be in it. We know it's going to be, obviously, you know, Diaz, China White, Cupid, and Jericho / Kane Wolfman / Joe Wilson. He's got too many slashes in his name. Yeah. But no, I'm excited for it. I think the way they set it up was pretty cool. Obviously, that, you know, they're trying to go for the Dante painting, and they decide that obviously relaunching the Ghost Initiative / Suicide Squad is the best way for it. I found it a little bit hypocritical though when like Lila turns around and she gets mad at it, because we find out basically this was Diggle's idea, and she's like, "I can't believe you'd betray me like this, John." It's like, oh, hang on. Like 5 episodes earlier, you were searching this Dante painting behind everybody else's back. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's like when they do stuff like that, where it's like, oh, you were keeping secrets from me, but then said person then keeps a secret from other said person, and it's just like, that is a bit frustrating. But I thought for the most part, I really enjoyed the stuff, especially just whenever Diaz is just like turning to the glass and he knows where Diggle is, and like you say, just like, "Hey, Johnny boy." Oh, it was that was funny.
It was amazing. I was just like, because I just love it when Diaz gets one of them really over the top lines.
Yeah,
like, "That's your husband on the other side of the glass." "Hey, Johnny boy." Like it was just as good as, you know, "Smile, baby, it's your lucky day." He gets some great lines, Diaz, and only Kirk Acevedo can pull them off. But that was great, and again, I just love the fact that I loved how chill Diaz was in this episode, because obviously Diaz is normally pretty irate, but I like the fact in this episode he was just so chill. Like when Lila's interrogating, he's like, "You've asked me this question for 3 days. I tell you, I don't know anything." Like I love that. I love how chilled he was. I thought it was great. But I thought Kirk was great in this episode. This whole stuff with Diggle and Lila, like just bringing back Task Force X and the Suicide Squad is such a good idea. Like it's something we've all wanted to see. And again, this team that they've formed for this one, I think, is much better than any of the other iterations. I mean, granted, we don't have Deadshot, but I mean, he's dead.
Or Bronze Tiger.
Although I have a theory, maybe Bronze Tiger.
Yeah, he's going to break into prison and get Bronze Tiger. Please, make this happen. Yeah, please.
I mean, if you've seen the trailer, you'll know that he does break into Slabside, which is how he's going to get. Well, when I saw the trailer, I assumed that's how he was going to get Diaz, but obviously Argus has Diaz, so I don't know, like, because we don't know, because like China White is not in Slab Side as far as we know. Cupid isn't in it as far as we know. I mean, and again, we don't know what happened to Joe Wilson after the Elseworlds crossover. So, you know, I don't know why he's breaking into there, unless it is to get Bronze Tiger, because we know for sure he's in there. So yeah, Bronze Tiger could be on this team. It could be like a secret fifth member, especially because earlier in the season, Oliver promised Ben that he would sort him out. He said that. So who knows? But I loved all this stuff. And one thing I need to say. Lila needs to be a series regular on this show. Lila is amazing. Audrey Marie Anderson is incredible in this role. And, you know, she's been a lot more prominent this season because of, obviously, Diggle and Curtis working for Argus now. But every time she's on screen, she just dominates. Like, she's so good. I love her so much. I just think she needs to be on the show so much more than she already is.
Yeah, I think I'm still surprised that they've never made her a series regular.
Yeah, it seems weird.
Like, Malcolm Merlin managed to be a series regular, and she hasn't. Like, how?
It's crazy. Especially when, like I say, she's just such a strong character. But whatever. As long as we get a lot of her this season, then that's fine. So, I guess the last thing to talk about is the future. With the standout performance of the entire Arrowverse being Renee's wig.
Oh god!
I mean, we were eagerly anticipating this moment. You know, we were waiting for this time when when future Renee was going to come out. I mean, when we found out that we were going to be seeing Renee in the future, I mean, me and you were pretty excited. We were pretty excited about this news, and especially when I found out it was this episode. And you know, there was this big build up to it. We had this scene where Zoe goes into the mayor's office. And, you know, it's like, you have that corrupt politician who's like, here we go. Here he comes. He's coming out. My friend, your mayor, Rene Ramirez. And he steps out, and the wig comes out. And, oh my god, I burst. I mean, that wig is something else. It's something else. It's so distracting. It's so weird.
I just do not understand why you would give him a wig. Why? Rene barely has any hair on his head as it is. How does he magically grow that much hair within 20 years?
It just looks ridiculous.
It's like, oh,
but I love it though. I can't help but love it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know whose decision that was.
Yeah, I want that wig.
I want that wig. Can I have it? Like, can I have it as like a souvenir? Like, Rick Gonzalez, if you're listening, can you bring it to Heroes and Villains this year so I can wear it for our photo op? I want to put it on my head for my photo op. On top of our banner that says this doesn't change anything, Hoss. You know, that's going to be one belter of a photo, I tell you now. I've got big plans for Heroes and Villains this year. Got big plans. But this future storyline, like, it's interesting because we see Rene and he's like, so he's the mayor of the Glades now. So the Glades is a completely separate area of Star City. It's practically its own city. And Rene's the mayor of it. And he's corrupt now. He's like a corrupt politician now. I don't know if they like outright said that, but it seems like obviously he just doesn't care anymore about like anyone from Star City. He just cares about the Glades. So it's kind of interesting because we have to kind of see what happened. I mean, even Zoe's like, what happened to you? But I think Dinah maybe knows something that they don't. But we see that even like, you know, Dinah comes up to him and is like, oh yeah, Felicity's dead. And she's planning to blow up the city. And he just doesn't care.
I mean, he cares about Felicity, but I think he's just like, oh, well, I don't trust information from a terrorist.
Yeah, I mean, because he goes up to that other politician who we find out seems to be very corrupt. And is like, oh yeah, Felicity Smoke is dead. Do you know anything about that? And then he's just like, oh yeah, well, Felicity Smoke was becoming a liability. We had to get rid of her. And Renee's just like, oh, alright. And then it's just like, then there's the whole bomb thing, which he just doesn't seem to care about it, and it's weird. This future storyline, I'm not gonna lie, is worrying me a bit now. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
I don't think it's gonna end well. I don't think the writers are gonna be able to end this well. Because I don't know how they're gonna end up. Because are we going to be getting these every season now? Because if we
I'd,
are,
I'd, I'd hope it's only this season.
but then that's going to be weird. That's going to be really weird. Again, it depends on how they end it. Like, because I mean, the flash forwards seem very tied to what's going on in the main story, which is fine. And if that's the way it stays, then that's fine. I mean, not only are these flash forwards a problem because of the fact that they basically spoil what's going on, because obviously we know that Dinah's never going to die, Renee's never going to die, William's not going to die, Roy isn't, Zoe isn't, but like, I just don't know. I feel like the way they're going to end it is just going to come across as incredibly weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but I have this.
Yeah, because it's kind of like with the flashbacks in the first 5 seasons. Basically, they had to find a way for the endings of those respective storylines in each season to kind of some way mirror what happens in the present day. Whereas now, obviously, because obviously the flash forwards are taking place in the future, it's almost like they're trying to achieve the same thing, except you really can't, because this is a story that's yet to be told from what we're watching right now. Whereas with the flashbacks, they've already happened. So I think it's just trying to work around that. I just hope they don't try to approach it in the same manner, because I just don't see how you're going to do it right.
No. I still am really interested in the flash forwards. Like, I still love them, and obviously just because...
Yeah.
I mean, where's Roy? Roy's been gone for like 2 episodes now. I don't understand where Roy's been. Especially when, you know, for me, Roy's like the biggest selling point of the season. Yeah, it's just... I think these flash forwards...
Very strange.
The past couple of flash forward episodes have been a bit weird for me. They felt a bit strange. And I think it's because when they first started, it seemed like it was going to be a really cool story with William and Roy. And I was excited about that. But now, like, they've come back, and it was going to be on the island, like the original flashbacks. But now they've gone back to Star City, and we're meeting all these other characters. You know, we've met Dinah and Zoe. It's interesting, but I don't know what they're going to do with it, and it's just, I don't know how they're going to wrap it up. It seems a bit strange. I kind of maybe wish they would have just kept it on Leanne Yu with and William.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, we've still got to wait to see, you know, what they're going to do with all of these. Of course, we know that obviously episode 16 is going to be like a flash forward centric episode.
Yeah.
So maybe by the end of then, it'll become a clearer picture, and we'll be able to like formulate a better opinion on how we think about it. But yeah, I think my only concern at the moment is how they're going to this, because it's been a lot of setup. So I feel like they really need to pay it off with episode 16, like with explaining everything. You know, like, how did Roy end up on Lian Yu? How did the Glades become how it is? Is Rene corrupt? You know, has Dinah lost a canary cry? All these questions that they're going to have to answer. I just hope they don't set themselves up so many questions that either A, they don't answer them, or B, it ends up just being very disappointing with what resolution they give.
Where's Stanley?
He's plotting his next attack.
Because I'm still waiting for that one to come down.
No.
We need more Stanley. We need more.
You mean the man that you thought was completely innocent? The man you thought who was completely innocent? We
need more Brendan Fletcher in our Arrow. You know, we need more. What's his name? From Uwe Boll film.
Just the main guy from Rampage.
That joke would have landed a lot more, but I can't remember the character's name.
It's all right. We can just. I've got a way to save
it. I think his name is.
Well, go message Uwe Boll on Twitter. He already follows you.
He follows me, so it's all good. But yeah, I think, you know, I'm interested to see where the rest of the season's going to go, because it seems like, and this is just to bring this back to Flash, because I think this could be applied to all the shows, obviously with them all being so long, is instead of doing one dragged out long story with one long villain throughout the entire thing, I think these shows need to separate into separate arcs. Kind of like what Daredevil Season 2 did, where it had like 3 mini arcs, and that was short.
But
that was 13 episodes.
Yeah, but I think it's just better execution wise, because I still feel that Season 2 didn't do it perfectly.
The concept, you know, do mini arcs throughout, and it seems like Arrow Season 7 could be doing that. Like, the first arc was the prison, this second arc could be Emiko, and then the third arc could be, you know, tying it all up. And I feel like that's what Flash needs to do. Like, what they should have done in the mid-season finale of The Flash was get rid of Cicada, get rid of that. That was one arc, and then do another arc, and then do another. Like, I think that's what they need to do in order to fill this time better. instead of just doing, one, because that's clearly, because this is supposed to be the Arrow segment, but I've gone back to the Flash. But this episode in particular, the Flash, was so obvious of them stretching out this story with Cicada, just because he just gets away again, and it's just, again, it's obvious that they're trying to drag this out as much as they can.
Yeah.
Whereas Arrow feels like it is actually trying to use its time effectively by doing different story arcs, and I like that. Because, like I say, the prison arc is done, so we could be moving on to something else now. And then, give this until episode, I don't know, 17, 18, and then we can get back for the final arc to tie it all together for the finale. So that's what they need to do. That's my advice to these shows, is to just, sort it out, really. Anything else to add for Arrow?
That's pretty much it. All I have to say, really. Oh, as well, they wasted Curtis in this episode. He literally is only in it for about a minute. And no Black Siren, which depressed me.
She's in next week's episode.
So all is well.
Yeah.
Next
Also,
week's episode is...
Interestingly, they mention... This is actually an interesting thing. Dinah brings up the Mark of 4 to Rene. And she mentions all the people who were, like, a part of it. She doesn't say Curtis's name. That's interesting.
Man got rejected.
Or he dies. I mean, we haven't seen Curtis yet in the flash forwards. We haven't.
Nah, can't go killing off gays. That's not the CW style.
that would be so anti CW. But it'd just be like, I don't know. I mean, I've been saying this for ages, but they should have killed off Curtis in season 5 in the island explosion. He's such an expendable and pointless character. I mean, I like Curtis. I love Echo Kellum. He's so, he's very dedicated to the role. He's very passionate, and I like him a lot. But Curtis as a character is just so irrelevant. So, yeah, I think they could kill Curtis. I'm not saying it's going to be this season, but I feel like they could do it. Because I thought, like, the Mark of 4, I guess it means the 4 words that sum up whatever. I thought it was going to be, like, 4 members, though, as well. I thought it was going to be, like, Oliver, Diggle, Roy, and Dinah or something.
Yeah.
But no. I think she says, like, Diggle's name was in there. Hers, I think was it Rene as well?
Yeah, Rene's in there, yeah.
Oliver, Felicity, yeah, so...
And Roy.
So yeah. So again, that confirms Roy's got to be in this main story at some point. Just saying. So anyway, I think that draws this all to a close. Pretty depressing week in the Arrowverse, I won't lie.
Yeah, pretty depressing. Apart from Arrow, like, everything else was just... Nah, it was just depressing. Yeah. Very upsetting to talk about.
Even though it wasn't bad. Do you think this was the worst episode of the season for Arrow?
I guess so, yeah. Just because I just loved, everything else from the first half of the season because it was so centric around the prison storyline, which I just absolutely adored. And obviously with episode 8, I really liked that because of the way that they kind of, brought Oliver, back into the public eye, showing him how he interacts with everyone now that he's out of prison. I guess so, yeah. But even from that standpoint, I still wouldn't call this like a bad episode or even an average episode. I still think this is a very good episode. And I think the fact that it's taken till now for Arrow to have an episode where it's like, all right, this isn't as good as beforehand, I think is a good sign. But, the thing is, I love the prison story arc anyway, so maybe I'm more biased towards that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I'd say this was like theoretically the weakest episode, but I still think it was a very good episode. Let's just say it's been better than most episodes of all the other shows that they've had for their respective seasons so far. So that's saying something.
Yeah. I mean, overall consensus for all the shows is to really sort yourselves out, because I'm actually slowly losing interest, especially in the Flash, which surprised. I mean, I've never really been that interested in Supergirl. I've said this before. If it wasn't in the Arrowverse, I wouldn't watch it. I only watch it just to keep up with it. But the Flash it's losing me. So sort it out. And like I said, I think it just needs, for season 6, can we just get a new showrunner? I mean, Todd Helbing has served his course. I think it's time for him to go. And I hate saying that. He seems like a nice guy, but I think we need some fresh eyes on this. We need some fresh ideas. And Todd Helbing is not providing said ideas. Anyway. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of On a Live Podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure you share it around to any other DC fans who you think may enjoy this kind of type of content. And if you want to, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload from us every single Thursday. And as always, I've been Deck.
I've been Dan.
And we hope to see you guys again next week.